Hi guys, welcome back to our channel guys. First of all, before we get into anything guys, I want to thank you guys so much for your love and support guys, and we really appreciate that guys. Thank you so much for your love and support guys. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, guys, we really want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support so far on this journey that we started. We really appreciate it. We didn't get to do anything for my birthday because our son was sick. My birthday, we didn't get to do anything. So we didn't do any videos for my birthday, which we were planning to. But yeah, he was sick over the weekend. We ended up taking him to urgent care today. He's feeling a little bit better tonight, but the last 2 days, 3 days, it's been really rough. Sleepless nights. But yeah, he's feeling better today. We decided we'll do a little story time. We did tell you guys last week that we were gonna probably do a video with the birth of our son, how that experience was. So we figured maybe we could do that tonight. Um, so yeah, basically, I'll just jump right into it. So yeah, guys, he was born in 2020 December, and he was my third baby, my third child, and also my third C-section. My first was a C-section, my second, and also him was a C-section, but his was a little bit different. As you know, as you have more C-section, it kind of gets a little bit more complicated, and things change. Everybody's different. I always say that. But yeah, so basically, it was a okay pregnancy. It wasn't too bad. Um, he was a little bit more on, I was a little bit more on the high risk side because of having two C sections, and but yeah, it was pretty okay though. Coming to the end, there's always anything can happen to anyone. Even if there's a rare chance, you never know that it could happen to you or when it can happen or who it can happen to. So I was scheduled to be induced and have my C-section December 29th. Like I think 8 or 11 in the morning, some like 8 a.m. I can't remember. I think like around that
It's
time.
like 5 a.m.
Yeah, we were supposed to like get there 3 hours before, but it was
Yeah.
gonna be like around 8 a.m. So, having two kids and having, busy lifestyle, I waited till last minute to pack my hospital bag and, just do any last minute stuff I wanted to do before the baby had gotten there. So yeah, I remember that would have been the Tuesday, and that weekend I was just like trying to go shopping, trying to get in last minute stuff we had to get. Our girls were much smaller then; they were 2 and 4, or about to be 2 and about to be 4, I think. Yeah, so they were much smaller then. So yeah, the day before I was to give birth, the Monday, the 28th. I went to my last ultrasound appointment. I used to have to do monitor. They used to monitor him in the last trimester weekly. Um, so I used to go to get monitored every Mondays and Thursdays. So that was my last appointment to go and get monitored. To sit there with the little straps to listen to his heartbeat to see if I was having any contractions. Because when you have C sections, after my two, they didn't want. They told me they didn't think it was a good idea to have go natural birth, that there's chance of complications happening, and I was fine with that. I wanted to have another C-section after having two. There was a rare chance they didn't mention earlier in the pregnancy of having a uterine rupture. I didn't know much about it, so I was like, okay, yeah, that's basically when one of your previous C-section scars from the inside opens up. So that can cause a lot of different things, and it can even cause death in the mother and the baby. So basically, coming to the end of the pregnancy, they didn't want my water to break because of any risk or any complications. So they had planned to take him 2 weeks early from me, which would have been the 29th. He was actually due 2021, I think January 6th or 7th, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so they planned like about close to a week and a half, maybe, I think it is, like around a week and a change. So yeah, Now, that last day, I went to my appointment. They said everything seems good. The baby's doing well, just, ready for tomorrow morning, be at the hospital at 5 a.m. So that day, I was like doing a whole bunch of things. He went to work. I was doing, I dropped him to work so I can use the car because we have one car. So I can use the car to like go last minute shopping. He came, I went and picked him up from work. We were like, hustling to do like laundry, to like just, hurry up and pack my hospital bag, like literally the last day, making sure our girls were good before we left with my mom. Yeah, so we were just like, I was like all over the place. And mind you, that I had to be there the next morning at 5 o'clock. And now it's tonight, Monday, at like 12, and we're still doing laundry. I mean, we were like washing everything, like the rugs, the bathroom rugs, the curtains, everything, just so it's we're bringing a brand new baby home for the new year. It's a new year, so we were just trying to get everything together. And we were super excited. But yeah, so it was like around 11, 12 o'clock where I think I like started to feel minor pain. Nothing crazy. I thought it felt like contractions, but I wasn't really sure. But I was trying in the back of my head like not to pay it no mind.
That's when we about to finish do laundry.
Yeah, we were late in doing laundry. At that time we was renting. We didn't have our house yet, and the laundromat where we was going to, they were closing at 12, and we were like late. So we were like rushing. But yeah, and I was starting to feel pain, I remember, and I did mention it to him, but he was like, do you want to go to the hospital? You think we should go now? I was like, no, I'm fine. When we got back home, I told my mom, but I told her it's fine, I'm fine, I'm good. It's just a couple more hours. It's probably nothing, Braxton Hicks or something like that. But yeah, it started to get more intense, as, that 12 turned into 1. Eventually,
I think 1:30 we left.
Yeah, like around 1, I think it started getting bad, where I was like, I would now remind you, this is like, it was like a hectic day. The kids were still up, the 2 girls were still up, so I was like, you know what, I think I should go make them sleep, and so I can finish up what I was trying to do. So I remember going to lie down with them, and as I was laying down, I was feeling like this crazy sharp contraction pain that I could remember from my first pregnancy. And I was like, no, this is not supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to go into labor, you know, that, things can happen. But I was like, okay, you know what, maybe it's not bad. But then the pain started getting worse. I was like, you know what? So I got up and I told my mom and my husband, I was like, I think I'm getting contraction pain. And I think it's like to the point where I don't know if I can make it till the morning, and maybe, maybe I can sit down, see if it goes away, and try to finish up. Like, I was debating on what to do, but my mom was like, you know what, you have to go. You're not supposed to go into labor. You just go. She'll take care of everything else. And I was like, I was trying to tell myself and tell my mom and my husband that, you know what, I think I can make it, but in reality, I knew I couldn't. But yeah, she was like, just go. And within that few minutes of that conversation, I went from every like 10 minutes, 8 minutes having pain.
8 minutes.
Like about there, yeah. To like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, from that space of time until he just basically, we just left because it started getting really bad. And we lived about, at that time, like 25, 30 minutes from the hospital, like about. And this was like 1:30 in the morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning. And he got to the hospital, if I can remember, in like 11 minutes. The pain was so bad. It was so bad. And it wasn't what I remembered for going into labor for my first daughter. It wasn't what I remembered being like this. Yes, it was the worst pain in my life, having contractions, but it wasn't that type of contractions. So when we got to the hospital, we went up to the labor and delivery, and I remember going to speak to the nurse that sits there to register you
at the front desk.
Yeah, and I remember she was like, well, it was like 1:45.
She was rude.
Yeah, she was really rude. And she was like, well, there's no one around right now, so you're just gonna have to have a seat. And I was like, okay.
She was rolling with like pain.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So she gave me a little thing to fill out like my name and whatever, my information. And as I was walking to go sit down, I just caught this really bad pain. I just threw the clipboard and the pen. I was like, no, something's not right. And I started screaming. I'm like, Avi, something is not right. And as I was like cursing and screaming, and he's just like, he doesn't know what to do. He's nervous. He's like, let me see if I can get someone. But there was like, it was like a ghost town. I can't
Yeah, it
remember.
was
There was
like
like
yeah,
no
it was
one
like
there.
it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
And I
So
went and I sent him to tell the little nurse by the register station, whatever. And she was like, you just have to wait. There's no one on the floor
yeah,
right
she was
now.
so rude. So what
There's,
happened is that I think who said the lady who was sweeping out, a lady was cleaning up, came and she asked you if you were okay.
yeah,
And then you was like no, and then I was like no, and then she went and get somebody, and then that person, the nurse, come like immediately.
no, so, no, they didn't, she didn't call the nurse.
No, the lady who was cleaning.
No, she didn't call the nurse.
Oh,
So what happened was she was like asking me if I'm okay, and I started, now the pain eased for a second and then it just came back. But this pain that came back, I felt like my womb was like crushing, like whatever was inside of me was like crushing, like you wet a towel and you try to like do this. That's what I felt. And I was like, no, something's not right. And I started screaming, like screaming. And then all of a sudden I started seeing people running to me. What's wrong? Are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm like, no, everything is not okay. They rushed me into triage really quickly. They hooked me up onto monitors. They was trying to get an ultrasound. This is all in a matter of like 2 to 3 minutes. And then all of a sudden I started to like, knew something wasn't right. My body started to getting cold. The pain was unbearable. Like, and it was so unbearable. I couldn't even cry. I just knew something was wrong. I'm like, something is wrong. I feel like I'm gonna die. And there was like, from going to nobody, there was like about 30 people in there surrounding the bed they put me to lay down in. And I remember I started to lose consciousness and I started to like go, I don't know, I was just losing myself. And I remember I heard someone say that the baby's heartbeat is dropping below 20. We need to take her into an emergency C-section right now. And I think like I that's about the last that I remember. Now guys, mind you, this story I didn't know. After this, I didn't know none of this until after I gave birth, and maybe like 4 days after I gave birth. I didn't know this story. But yeah, so they, I guess, rushed me in to have the baby, and they delivered him within 6 minutes,
like
and
between 6 or 7 minutes.
6 minutes, no, 6 minutes
Six.
and 11 seconds, if I could remember right. That's what the doctor had told me. Yeah, she said that was the fastest C-section they ever done from beginning to ending. But yeah, so basically, guys, what happened? They did the C-section. He came out not breathing. He was gray, completely gray. From what I got to learn after, he was not breathing at all. He did not have a pulse, nothing. They revived him by the help of God. He was able to fight through whatever was going on at that moment, which was one of my, I got a uterine rupture. One of the other scars tore open. He fell out of the sac and he was out of my, uterus, and he was just fighting for his life to get out. Like, he couldn't breathe. He now needed oxygen when all this happened, and he now couldn't breathe. I didn't know this was happening to me when I was home, when I was trying to get to the hospital. I didn't know, but that's what was going on. And I as well was losing blood. I didn't know I lost so much blood. They almost thought that if I would have waited any longer, they said both me and the baby would have died. They said time was such a important factor for us that literally a half a minute made such a big difference in my life and my son's life. But yeah, I didn't know when I did wake up the next morning. I didn't know I had the baby. I didn't know he was alive or if he was dead. I didn't know. But when after that moment, when I did started to lose consciousness, and I remember seeing everybody around me, that was the last I remember. And I was just like, I was begging God. I was begging, like, please just save my baby. Please don't let my baby die. And that was the last feeling I remember having before I was gone until about 7 a.m. the next morning. And when I woke up, I just remembered like being so drowsy, so out of it. And then I was trying to see if I can feel my stomach. They had so many stuff hooked up on me, and I was like trying to see if I can feel my stomach, and I couldn't remember. Like I had no feeling in my body to like feel anywhere. And I was looking, there was no one in there. But then someone came in. They were like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I'm like, where's my baby? Where's my husband? What's going on? He was like, relax, calm down. It's okay. Everything will be okay. And that's where I learned that what happened to my son. And he needs to be rushed to the NICU at another hospital. And they needed permission. My husband signed that permission before I was even woken up. And they were just about to leave with the ambulance to
Like 40 minutes drive from there.
yeah, to take him to the NICU where he needed to go to get treated for brain damage if he would have had any type of brain damage, because they said in these type of situation it affects the baby's brain. So they did had to do a lot of different tests on him, brain cooling, a few other things they had to do on him that hospital didn't provide in their NICU. So yeah, they had to rush him to the NICU at another hospital, and I didn't get to see my son. They brought him really quickly because they had to pass the room I was in, but I was so out of it. They couldn't bring the incubator he was in close to me because it was so big, and there were like 6 or 7 doctors, and they were like, we have to go now, we have to leave now. So they just pushed it into the room and literally rolled it right back out. And I remember crying, and he actually had to leave to go. He wanted to go with the ambulance, and he went to go get the car so he can go to the other hospital. And I remember I was like, oh my God, I called my mom crying, and I was telling her what happened. And I was trying to tell her what I knew, and she, I guess, talked to my husband before. He was letting her know what was going on. And she was praying for me. I was crying. I was so scared. I didn't know what was going on, and I was just so confused. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know I had my son. It was my first son. I didn't even know what he looked like. And I was like, oh my God. It was such a scary feeling. And then after that, my husband went to this was during COVID as well.
That was crazy, guys.
Yeah.
I wasn't none apart. I was by the hospital, but to go in to see all of those stuff, I couldn't go in because COVID was the going thing at that time. You gotta get vaccinated, you gotta get the letter card, so it was rough. When she went through the birth and stuff, I couldn't be there because
no, not vaccinated. You had to get tested.
Yeah, you have to get
within 24 hours.
Yeah, you gotta get tested to go in all of those places.
Yeah.
And when she was like when they took her in the room and stuff, I couldn't go inside of there because COVID time. It was crazy at that time, And when you do stuff, you gotta be like one person. Got to be there.
Oh yeah, guys.
Yeah, it wasn't. You cannot be 2 people. It was crazy.
He was during all this process. Sorry, I'm going back a little bit, but during all this birthing like emergency C-section, he was just out in the hallway like a sitting duck. No one told him what's going on.
Yeah, nobody told me anything.
He didn't know I even gave birth.
I was just fish out of water.
Yeah, he was just there. He didn't know who to talk to, who to call. There was no one. He said it just like everyone was there when I started screaming, and they rushed me into the room, and then everyone just disappeared. He called my mom. My mom tried to call the hospital. No one would give him information. No one would give her information.
And I was right there. Imagine her over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So he wasn't a part. He couldn't have been there for nothing.
Yeah, they don't want me to go inside.
Yeah. So he didn't get to see our son either. He said at one point in the morning, he did see they were running with a incubator and with a baby.
Yeah, they just run down and
with the baby. But
when I looked like this, I saw like a little gray baby in the thing, and I was telling myself, is that my baby or somebody else?
Yeah, because there was no one else in the hospital when we went.
But right after that, he had like about 2 more other female came in.
Yeah.
But when the other female came in, they were in writing. But you was inside the day before them.
Yeah.
So I was so confused. I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, then a couple of minutes later, then I learned that was my son.
Yeah. So yeah, guys. Yeah, back to where we was. Yeah, so after all this happened now, they rushed him to the NICU at the other hospital. He went to go with them. When he got there, they told him, "Nope, you can't come. You must get vaccinated and must be within 24 hours each day that you are allowed to come." And even if you are vaccinated, because of the situation, he was not allowed to get anyone to see him for like
crazy.
the first 2 days or something.
That was crazy.
Now, this was Tuesday morning. Now, I'm in the hospital. I'm going crazy. I have so much pain from the C-section, my uterine rupture. I was like, I don't know, the way I was feeling, everything. I was just like, my body felt like it was done. I could just stop crying. I just couldn't stop crying. My mom was crying. My girls were so small. They didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if, our son was going to be okay, if he was going to survive. Prayers was our everything at that moment. He got there. As soon as he got there, they started the brain cooling, which I think took like 3 days.
72 hours.
Yeah. So, yeah, 3 days. And one good thing, they always updated us on what they were doing, how his progress was going, anything. They was updating us and letting us know they were calling
guys.
us.
So in that situation there, you cannot. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but
It's okay.
you cannot stay there. You cannot stay in the hospital with them. The hospital, they got special time for visit.
Yeah.
You cannot stay in there with them because they have like special medication for them and stuff. So, and it was crazy because COVID time. So, if both parents go, one of them go in for like a 30 minutes, come on back, then the next one go in for the next 30 minutes and come on back. So it was crazy. COVID time.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. So now after all this happened, he came back to the hospital. He told me he went and got tested. He took it over there and they still said no, that you can't see him. They didn't let him in. He got that rapid 15-minute test, I think, and they sent it to an email, the results or something, and they still wouldn't let him go. And it was so frustrating. That's what I just wanted him to go. I couldn't leave the hospital. So I was like helpless. I couldn't do anything, and I was dying, guys, to get out of there. I was just like, I just want to get out. I don't care. Like, I just wanted to get out and just go where he was. I wanted to see my son. I wanted to see, this baby this life I was carrying for the last 9 months. I wanted to know what he looked like and see that he was alive and he was okay. So after he came back, it was just kind of, we didn't have a choice. They told us it's too soon. He cannot have anyone see him. And
because
so
he had so much too booked up to him.
yeah,
so.
and he was doing the brain cooling, which was they started a Tuesday, and then Wednesday it was gonna be the second. Tuesday would have been the first day, Wednesday would have been the second day, and then Thursday would have been the third and last day. So they said after he finishes the brain cooling, coming to the end, then I can be able to see him. So mind you guys, that I was doing everything in my power to get out of the hospital Thursday. They wanted me to stay till Friday because of losing so much of blood. I lost I can't remember how many blood. I lost a lot of blood. They almost did lose me on the table, they said. And mind you, I'm anemic, so that made it worse. But yeah, they didn't want me to leave on Thursday. They wanted me to stay another day to, make sure I'm okay, monitor me, make sure everything is good, the stitching and everything like that. And Thursday, I got a call from the NICU where my son was, and they said, okay, they're going to end the brain cooling tonight, and they'll allow me to come see him this afternoon into the night. The visits were 1 hour, and it's only either one parent for that hour, or you do half an hour one parent, half an hour another parent. I think it was something like that. But I don't know. Yeah, something had happened, and you couldn't go see him. Or I don't know if I just wanted that whole hour. I think I just wanted that hour.
No, it was something with the COVID something.
Something, yeah. They said that was usually their policy, but because of COVID, what it was. I think because COVID was so bad at that moment, at that end of 2020.
I can't remember exactly what it was.
I think they were only allowing one parent.
It was something with COVID though.
Yeah, I think they were only allowing one parent 1 hour. So obviously, guys, I was gonna take that hour. I was like, I have to see this. I have to see this baby. I need to see him, see that he's okay. And that Thursday, I begged the doctors. I'm like, please, please, I'm feeling good. I think I'm doing better. I just want to go see my son. Like, I was like dying to go see my son, guys. And the doctor, they said, okay, they're gonna discharge me, but they wanted me to come back the day after, just to check on the stitching and everything. And I was like, that's fine. I'll come back tomorrow, and you guys can check. So they did discharge me, and we went straight to the hospital. Now, since I was in the hospital, they did COVID testing on me and everything there. So I didn't have to get tested to go in. And I remember they came and took me in a wheelchair from the entrance all the way up to the NICU.
That was a good walk, though.
Yeah, it was.
That was a long walk.
Yeah, it was. And they wheelchaired me to the NICU. And I remember they pushed me in the NICU, and there were so many babies in there. I think like 6, and he made 7. And they were like so tiny and
yeah, and baby was like this small.
It was like so.
He was the biggest baby in the NICU.
Yeah, it was so scary. I remember when they were wheelchairing me in there, and I was like, oh my god, like I can't believe I'm in, like seeing this. It was so sad. And they wheeled me all the way to the back, and I saw this little baby. And he was so thin, and his body was like kind of reddish, and they had his eyes were covered, his head was covered with the thing they were cooling his brain with. They had like about 4 or 5 different wires out of his belly button. It was so many stuff hooked up to him, and he was just lying there like a mannequin, he wasn't really moving. I was like, oh my god. And they was like, this is your son, meet your son. And I just instantly started like crying, bawling, crying. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was just like, my heart broke, and I was by myself. He waited in the car for me.
Yeah, because I couldn't go.
He couldn't go, and my mom was with my 2 daughters at home, and I had them on like a 3-way video chat, and she started crying. I was oh my god, I was hysterical. Like I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't touch him.
That was a crazy part, guys.
Yeah,
that was a crazy part.
I couldn't hold him. I couldn't touch him. I could just look at him from my wheelchair. I could just look at him. I couldn't touch him nowhere. His foot, his hand, I wasn't allowed to. Yeah, I remember, and I was just sitting there looking at him, and I was just like, oh my god, like I can't believe like this is happening. Like I was just praying, like I hope he's gonna be okay. I hope he's gonna be fine. I was just like praying for the best. And he stayed, guys, in a NICU for almost 2 weeks. And that was I don't know, that was the worst.
That was the longest 2 weeks I ever seen.
That was the worst part. That was the worst time of my life.
For you to be home and you don't have your kid with you.
New
Year's, it was a rough one.
Every day after I went and saw him for that hour, until day 5, I was able to touch him, touch his skin, and feel what he felt like. I never was able to touch him. I was never able to get that, skin to skin contact after he was born. I was able to touch him on day 5, and that was like I felt like I had won a trophy when I was able to just barely feel his skin. And then on day 7, they allowed me to breastfeed him for the first time. And I was super excited to try it, because from the time I gave birth to him, I was just pumping milk, because they told me, they recommended me pump the milk, and they will take it to the NICU and store it until he's able to drink.
Yeah, they said they will freeze it, put it in like a freezer bag or something.
Yeah, so he wasn't having any milk until the 7th day, and I had asked them if it's okay that his first feeding would be me breastfeeding him, and they said that's fine, they'll wait for me that day. I had already pumped so much of milk, and every day I would take the milk from me, and they would just store it. And that was his first feeding. I wanted to have that bond with him, at least, because we didn't have skin to skin contact the first hour he was born. I didn't get to see him until day 3. He was 3 days old. Neither of us, my husband didn't get to see him until he came out of the NICU the day we went to.
I think like almost a month I didn't get to see him.
No, the day he was coming out the NICU when we went to get him.
Yeah, it was like
It was 2 weeks, like
3 weeks. Yeah,
2 weeks.
Yeah, I couldn't to see him.
Yeah, it felt really long though, that 2 weeks, I'll tell you.
Longest 2 week ever.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to share that experience. You know, that moment of the first feeding being me breastfeeding him. And that's when I was like, I felt that connection that, you know, I'm sure every mother out there feels. And I cried. And that was the first time I was able to hold him, like in my arms, like hold him. The 2 days, this was day 5, the 2 days before I could barely just touch like his leg, the skin of his leg. So that was the first day as well I was able to hold him. And that was, oh my God, that was one of the best moments of my life. He was doing better. He was improving, you know. And then, you know, every day I would just keep going. We kept praying. New Year's passed us and he was in a NICU. The worst New Year's again of my life. We did not celebrate. We did not do anything. Guys, we're gonna be right back. Our son just woke up. Hi guys. So sorry about that. Abby's putting our son back to bed, so I'm just gonna finish off our story time. So yeah, where did I leave off? Yeah, so he spent those 2 weeks in the NICU, and day by day he was getting better, you know, and as he, you know, was doing better and, you know, getting better and stronger, you know, I was more anxious for him to come home. We couldn't wait for him to come home until finally, you know, they called us today and they said, you know, they think he's able to come home tomorrow at that time. And we were so happy. We, you know, all of us, we were so excited, so happy. It was just, I don't know, it was just like the best feeling in the world at that time. But yeah, guys, and we went that day and we picked him up from the NICU, and that was the first day my husband saw him. That was in real, you know, that was the first day his sisters saw him. That was the first day my mom saw him, you know. But yeah, you know, it was one of the best days of our lives. Bringing him home from the NICU, him graduating. He got a certificate for graduating from the NICU. It's the cutest thing. But yeah, that was, you know, that's the birthing story of our son. That birth, it was really, really crazy, guys. Really something. From the questions the other day, from the hot seat questions, a day I would want to relive. Reason why I would want to relive that time is because it was, I don't know, it was just like, it was so, it was such a scary time in my life, and it was just such a, like, I've never felt so that way before, where, you know, I didn't know, like, in a matter of seconds something could happen and change my whole life. And I never had that, such an intense feeling before in my life. And just, you know, like, it's something, it's a memory, and it's just something that I would never forget. And whenever, you know, I think about it, you know, it crosses my mind all the time. I always think about it, and I'm just always so grateful, you know, to be able to have him here with me today, and for me to be here today for my kids. You know, but it just, it's a memory that's just always gonna, like, wow, I can't believe that happened to me. I can't believe that happened to us. But yeah, guys, you know, I wanted to share that story with you guys, and, you know, hope you guys enjoyed it, and, you know, stay tuned for more. You know, drop a comment down below, and, you know, let me know what you guys think, you know, suggest another story time, whatever it may be. Until next time, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, until next time, thank you guys for watching. We love you guys.